Today we're going to look at a couple different ways of creating value or shadows and highlights using a pen. Now here are three different ways plus blending which you can do with the pencil. The top one is called hatching, then we have cross hatching, and the bottom one is stippling. Now stippling is a technique also called pointillism where you take your pen and you lightly tap the paper. This gives it a nice gradual look. Here's an example of one. Apologize for it's a little blurry, but you can kind of get the idea of how you can take it and make it really soft looking and again really dark in the center. This is a picture of two pandas, and just by using stippling you can get the idea of two pandas almost getting very close to each other. Now the next one has two different versions to them. There's hatching and there's contour hatching. The difference is hatching is straightforward. The lines are normally up and down or side to side. Contour hatching, a little different because it goes around the edge. It shows the curved sides of an object. Here's an example of what a sphere would look like if it was just in regular hatching. This teapot has cross-hatching and some hatching in the background. Now you can tell in this example of this mini still life that the hatching, there's quite a bit. You can definitely tell all the details in this picture. Although there's not a lot of lines here, the contour hatching and the regular hatching do show a lot in this picture. It shows that the legs have a curvedness to it, and the background with the bricks has a straight feeling to them. Cross hatching, a little different because we are taking regular contour hatching and regular hatching and almost like we're laying on top of each other, where they crisscross in a cross formation. Here's an example of three different objects and what they would look like if they had cross-hatching on them. Now cross-hatching can be mixed together with regular hatching and contour hatching. It doesn't have to be on top of each other all over. As you can see in this picture, they have a lot of different things going on, and it kind of like you can use both at the same time to develop your picture. Now here's the last example. As you can see, you don't have to add a lot in order to really show a three-dimensional objects. Now the next section of the video is going to go over the rest of your packet and it's going to show you how to create stippling and hatching and cross-hatching. Please remember that these pens are pens and they're not markers, so you need to be very careful on when you're actually creating the different lines and the dots, that you're not banging or pressing too hard or going too fast, because it will affect your actual drawings.
Okay, so in this video you're going to learn about a couple different pen techniques. We're going to start off with stippling. Stippling, just to let you know, is kind of like dotting, okay? But when you do it with pen, we don't want to go banging up and down. We just want to, carefully just dot, okay? Because if we bang the pen, what's going to happen is, one, you're going to break the pen and the ink's going to kind of come out. Two, the faster that you go, the more likely you're not going to create a dot, but more like a slash, okay? So we're going to go through and we're going to make a stepped value scale, gradation, and I'm going to ask you to draw an actual object, okay? Now, so for example, to make a dark area, in order to create a dark area, your stippling has to be very close. I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see this. There we go. So it's very close stippling. The closer the dots, the darker the area is going to see. Okay, so we're going to go through and just fill in. Now you don't have to fill in this entire box. I'm absolutely fine with about, 50%, so you're just getting the idea. Go. Alright, so that's a very dark area. The next one would be a little bit more spread out. Now here, I'm not having them so close together, but they still are a lot of dots. Now, if you stay really close to the actual paper, you can kind of go fast. There we go, there we are. All right, so, and if we ever need to go back in, like I'm gonna add some more up here to make this really dark. So it definitely is noticeable that this is the dark area. The next one's on the lighter side. All right, now our goal is to have less and less dots to the point where it's basically like that, okay? So you can go up or down. I'm gonna actually do it this way. Add more. That's definitely more than the first one. Ooh. See if you can see. Let's clear that up. You see how I'm going a little too fast right here? That I'm getting like little slashes? You don't want that, okay? So right here, get a little bit tighter or a little bit closer with the dots. Okay. There we are, very nicely done. And the next one, which kind of like goes in between these, a little closer. But you're able to see a difference from the, the dark area to the light area. Now, stippling is probably one of the easiest ways to do a pen technique because you can control it. You can definitely hide a dot, but if you have like a line, a little hard to work with. Now, I'm going to zoom out. Okay, to do the gradation, you can go, as I said before, you can go from top to bottom, bottom to top. I'm going to kind of go backwards. I'm going to start off really light. And as I go further up, now I want to make sure that's about 2 fingers wide, okay? And I'm going to start off really spaced out. Now, as I go higher up, I'm going to get closer in my dots. Now, I don't want to make rows of them because that's not what the purpose is, to make it look like, lined up soldiers. I want it to just appear as if all of a sudden it's just getting darker. So my dots are getting closer. Oops, starting to run out of ink, it looks like. Okay, we're getting closer. Okay. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to stretch all the way up, but I think this is pretty good. Okay. Beautiful. All right, so what I'm going to ask that everyone do in this next slide, okay, is you're going to draw a wooden shape. My suggestion is pick a wooden shape, draw it lightly with a pencil, okay? So once you put that down, the shape, and it doesn't have to be big, I want you to make sure you have the outline of the shadow as well. And you're going to use the stippling effect where the shadows would be, okay? So kind of look at the overall object. What is definitely the lightest area? Is there an area that's bright white that should have no shading, okay? What is maybe a light? Maybe it may need a little bit of stippling. What is darkest? Well, check out all these different other values, and you're going to put it in there, okay? Also, remember, you got to look and see, is it, gradation where it's fading out, or is it a solid area? And you're going to draw it in this section. Alright, in this video, we're going to learn about hatching. Hatching is pretty neat. It's just lines, okay? Lines definitely can add a lot of shading to an object, okay? To start off with the dark, in order to make hatching in a dark area, is we're going to put our lines. Now, I tend to put my lines on an angle, which they can go in any direction, but your lines, they are very close to each other. Sometimes they may overlap, all right? But they're very close, okay? They're all going in one direction. There we are, okay? So that's really dark. Next one down, not as close, less lines, okay? All right. A little bit more spread out as we follow down, and you're going to start noticing a transition in color, okay? Like this one definitely looks like it's dark. We could add even more lines up here to make it look really dark, okay? And then it gets lighter, more spaced out. That's basically it, okay? Now, the gradation, I'm going to turn my page a little bit, and I'm going to start here. Nice close. Make my lines kind of, spaced out. All right, all of a sudden, it's starting to get lighter. Okay, spread out. Notice how it gets really dark and then kind of fades out. That's what we're looking for. Now, just as in the stippling exercise, what I want you to do is lightly draw a wooden shape. I would choose a different wooden shape, okay? Lightly in pencil, and then you're going to go in and you're going to shade just like this. Now, this is very different from the stippling, okay? When you're shading an object, so I'm going to quickly draw something real small. Okay, it's not the world's best cube, but we can give you an idea. Okay, so when you're doing hatching, okay, all it is adding a little bit of where that shading is, okay? So maybe this has a little bit of shading for your shadows. So let's say your shadow's right here, okay? Let's say you have it really dark here. It kind of fades out in the back, all right? You kind of get the idea that it's not as defined as the stippling is, but it gives it a little bit of a quick feel to it that, you know, here's the values, this area is definitely darkest, this kind of fades out, so it looks like that, okay? But obviously yours would be better in your example that you're going to put here. Alright, so this is the last one that you're going to be practicing. This is called cross-hatching. I kind of like this one out of the hatching and the cross-hatching because you can overlap it. So for this step scale, I'm going to change my paper so it's on an angle, and I'm going to start off by doing hatching. Alright, so I'm going to put in some thick lines going one way. Now the reason I like cross-hatching is because I can change the direction, kind of go over a different way. Okay, this one you can really tell a difference in values. Okay, so that's definitely dark. So I'm going to go back on an angle, start off with my hatching. Okay, maybe not so much. Change the angle of my lines. Okay, you definitely see that this is lighter. All right, back over here, spaced out. More spaced out here, and you notice that my lines are not perfect. They kind of, some are long, some are short, but it's fine. Space this one really out. All right, last two, really wide. Okay, and the last one. So pretty neat how this one works. So gradation, kind of the same way that hatching is. We're just going to make one row of the hatching, kind of going from, really thick up here. And as you get further down, spaced out, okay? I'm going to change the direction of my page. Go kind of dark up here, okay? And going to kind of fade out, all right? Now, pretty neat, right? Yeah. Now, how this kind of works, I'm going to zoom in so we can kind of get over here. There we are. I'm going to do a circle. A little example. Now, this is not necessarily one that you have to do, but it's just an idea of how this works. So, cross-hatching, you want to kind of put your lines in first where the shadows are, okay? And then you're going to go in and kind of, pretty cool, right? Yeah. Put in those lines to make you see where the light and darkness is on your object, okay? Now, obviously right here, that would be your shadow, okay? I'm going to put in my hatching. Whoops, line went a little crazy, which is fine. And add that in, a little darker on this side, okay? All right, so we kind of have, if I turn it right here, there we are. We can see that the sphere has a shadow. It's not perfect, which is okay, because it kind of would fade out anyway. But you can see the crossing. Now that is what you're going to kind of create in this space right there.